anyone and everyone. Welcome to Have You Heard About This Case? My name is Sam.
And my name is Kelly. I'm bringing you another case today that is unsolved, and in my opinion, inspires some question about the media's role in unsolved cases. Before that, we always have our question. Sam, what is it today?
Well, we both have talked a little bit about our travels, something that's very important to us. And yes. I want to hear about one of your favorite experiences while traveling.
That's a good one because there are so many that stand out as really good. But I can't this story is great. Even though we just did Danny Green, as you may have heard, one of my favorite travel experiences happened in Dublin. We were chatting this fellow up at the bar, and they were playing traditional Irish music in the corner of the bar. And it was like a man with a fiddle and all the wonderful stuff you'd expect to hear. And then we finished the conversation with this man, and he just pulled right out of his jacket. He had it in his jacket the whole time. He pulled a full-ass clarinet out and then just went over there and started playing with them.
That's incredible.
It was so wild. I was like, wait, we've just been like drinking beers and like chit-chatting, and he jumped right in as well. Like,
and it was it put together and like tuned?
It was. He pulled it out of his coat and went to go play with them.
That's incredible.
That's why I can't. I have a lot of great ones, but that one is just, it's great in its confusion and its wholesomeness. And
it doesn't surprise me for Dublin, though, because we've said this before. No. Dublin is such an incredible music city.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even just like their busking and everything, like it's incredible.
What about you?
This is a hard one because I love to travel. I've been very privileged in my life to travel, but I think I would have to say, while living in London, one thing that one of my friends and I did, because I'm not much of a drinker, and I was 21 when I was in London, and one of my really good friends was 20, and he made a vow to his family and his younger siblings that he would not drink until he was 21.
Oh.
And he honored that even though he was on the other side of the world.
Oh, that's good for him.
Yes, and it was perfect for me as somebody who isn't much of a drinker anyway. What him and I would do on every Friday and Saturday night, we would just pick a different tube stop while in London and just go. A place that we had not, a neighborhood we haven't been to before.
Oh my gosh.
And just explore.
What a good idea.
And it was like the perfect thing. Everyone else went to like a club and had to pay like fees to get into the club. And we're really experiencing the nightlife of London on the streets.
Right.
And it was incredible. And one night we went to, I forgot what stop we went to, but we ended up in Covent Garden. Mm-hmm. There's a whole ton of tube stops that are very, very close together in that area. And so we just ended up walking this whole area. There's like Soho, that's right there. There's the theater district, the West End, all of this stuff. Mm-hmm. And it happened to be when the BAFTAs were setting up.
Oh.
And yeah, and if you don't know the BAFTAs, it's essentially the British version of the Academy Awards. And it's a really big deal.
Yeah.
And we ended up getting wristbands to view the red carpet.
Oh my gosh.
And it was just this like super random thing because of this thing that we decided to do to not drink.
Yeah.
And it was incredible because you see all these amazing people that you watch in movies and stuff walking the red carpet in their fancy dresses and suits and all of this stuff. And so like we saw some truly, truly incredible people. But at the very end, the last person to walk the red carpet, because he was late, was Paul McCartney.
Oh my
And that was my first time ever seeing Paul McCartney.
Oh my
I've seen him in concert a handful of times, but like, you know me.
Yes.
And like people are like leaving already at this point because they thought no one else was going to come. And I'm like sticking around. It was a rainy night. It's London. Like, what do you expect?
Oh my God.
And suddenly Paul McCartney walks down the red carpet. And for me, that is the person.
That
like,
is incredible.
Like, I was 5 feet from Paul McCartney because he was walking down the red carpet in front of me. Like, it was just incredible.
That's 10 out of 10 right there.
And I'm not typically the type of person where it's like I freak out over celebrities. Like, that's not who I am. But it's Paul McCartney.
It's Paul McCartney. I was about to, it's Paul McCartney.
Like, my cat, who's named Rigby, is literally sitting on my lap right now.
The man's a Beatle. Like,
yeah.
Get up and show some interest here.
So that was just kind of one of those experiences where it was kind of like, is this really happening right now? I'm in London and seeing all of this happen literally in front of me at the moment. And like, I can't just immediately call home and call my parents and like tell them how cool this was.
Right. Because it's a huge deal for your parents too.
Yeah, and they're the reasons I'm a Beatle fan. Mm-hmm. Like, it's solely because of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a really big deal to me when that happened.
Oh, that's a good one.
I'm not sure I even ever told you that story.
You haven't. So it was very exciting for me. That I was like, that payoff was perfect.
Yeah, maybe we'll because I have photos from that. Maybe we'll add a photo of me seeing Paul McCartney on our Instagram.
Yeah.
But let's get into today's case.
All right. So no good way to sugarcoat this one. I am going right at the outset here to offer a trigger warning for our listeners. The story I'm covering today involves the epidemic of murder and violent crimes against transgender people and gender non-conforming people. Our victim is also a Black woman. If you are part of one of these communities and are exhausted by the emotional labor required of you in our society, I first thank you, but second, warn you that this story may cause undue stress to you. Please listen with your discretion. Our victim's name today is Briana Hamilton. I'm going to do my best to tell Briana's story in a respectful way. I hope if you are a member of the LGBTQIA+ community and you feel something I share here is inaccurate or I've misspoken, I hope you're not shy to reach out and correct me. However, I think it's important that we remember it's not the responsibility of a marginalized community to educate the masses on why they should be respected. We need to be doing that work ourselves so we can better advocate for our family, our friends, and our community.
I think that's well said.
But all that said, if I trip up, let me know. Let me know.
We're all constantly learning, and we really appreciate corrections if we do not say something correct.
Absolutely. I also want to thank the Human Rights Campaign for their tireless work for members of our community that have been violently attacked or killed. Their work is life-changing, and we should all support them. A lot of my information also comes from the HRC, as the deaths of transgender and non-binary individuals are rarely seen, reported on, or solved. With the mention of reporting here, I'd like to address a few things that happened in this case. As I said, today our case is the murder of Briana Hamilton. Please commit that name to memory. I will be referring to Briana using her pronouns of she, her, and I will not share her dead name. If that's a little confusing, a dead name is a term commonly used to indicate a trans person's birth name that they have since changed. Not every trans person changes their name, and that's their prerogative. But in this case, Briana Hamilton was consistently dead named in what little coverage her case got.
Wow.
You can imagine the confusion from her community, her friends, and critically the reader of the article. The person is completely different than what they're being reported as. So when reporting from the media dead names trans people, it makes it that much harder for the word to get out that they are missing or even potentially murdered. Two major Chicago press outlets, I won't share their names, but they are the largest two names on paper in Chicago, misgendered and dead named Briana, referring to her as a man. Again, this caused delayed awareness among her community as the articles don't refer to Brianna's correct name or her correct gender.
Wow.
So, yeah, so this has happened and people are not even aware of it in whatever coverage it gets, which as we'll see here, is certainly not enough.
Yeah, and in full transparency too, like we've recorded this episode before, but we're choosing to redo it because things got messed up. But I was aware of this case. I had no idea that Briana had chosen to be transgender, and that was what was right for her, and that she had changed her name. I had no idea, and that knowing that in retrospect now is very upsetting to me because I've read articles from both of these press outlets, and I didn't know.
Yeah. And like I said, critically, the reader is misinformed. Like, because members of her community, her friends, her family obviously already know this tragic information, but to misgender and dead name, you then keep the larger community from being aware of this person's status as missing or if a violent crime has been committed. The anti-transgender stigma is only further rallied by callous or disrespectful treatment by media, including Chicago's major press outlets, law enforcement, and elected officials. According to HRC's research, it is estimated that approximately 3/4 of all known victims were misgendered by the media and or law enforcement.
That's just a mind-blowing statistic to me.
Yeah.
That's shouldn't be any, in my personal opinion. If you feel like you need to change your gender to be more of who you personally are and choose a name that fits your gender and who you want to be, then that's how you should be represented.
Yeah, and to hear a figure as high as 3/4, that's
so high.
That's alarming. Yeah, that's alarming. I specifically have referred to Brianna's community a couple times here already. This is because Briana is part of Sam and I's community in Chicago, Illinois. This crime happened September 17th, 2021, specifically in the Gresham neighborhood on the south side of Chicago. If you live in that area and you have a security system that stores data that old, I encourage you to check it. I know it's been a couple years, but this wasn't that long ago. See if anything looks odd if you still have it. If you recall September 17th or any time in the fall you recognized any vehicles that were odd or you remember something specific from that time period, you can go online to tip submit on home.chicagopolice.org and leave an anonymous tip. You can also use their service text to tip by entering the number 274637 and anonymously text a tip. Sharing this tip line number is just one way we can amplify Brianna's story, as in another big media problem I see, all the articles that I have found referring to Brianna's murder did not have a tip line number given in them.
Which is also mind-blowing because that's such an easy thing just to add to the end of an article or something. And like, we'll put it in our show notes. We'll absolutely add it in. So even if you didn't quite catch it as Kelly was saying it, you'll be able to see it at the bottom.
Yes, we'll include it.
That's just such a simple thing to add on. And you see that on so many other articles.
Absolutely. Even articles with devoted tip lines specifically to the crime that the article is about. But in all of Brianna's articles, not one even listed. The number I gave here for you all is just Chicago PD's normal tip line. And not even that was listed in them.
That's another thing that's crazy to me is, and like maybe I'm completely wrong here, but I feel like it's not terribly difficult to set up a separate tip line.
I don't know.
Because you see them so often. And I could be totally wrong. And if somebody knows more than me, please let us know, because that's something I am actually very interested in, how feasible it is to create that.
Yeah.
But you just see so many that are created for specific cases. Why was that not available for this one?
Right. And why, if the resources weren't there or the time wasn't there to create a devoted tip line, then why did the media coverage not include just the standard tip line number?
Exactly.
It would have been very easy. We see it done in almost every article here that I know that I read on the Chicago News. I don't know why there wasn't a tip line given on this one.
Yeah. And you and I are both the type of people who read the news all the time.
Yeah.
You and I are constantly sending articles back and forth between each other. And there's a lot of times we're sending articles, we're like, check this out, and we've read it already. Where it's like, you'll send me one and I've read it, and vice versa. Like, that's just who you and I are.
Yeah, hence the name of the podcast. Have you heard about this case? Because we ask each other that constantly, and we're reading the news, and frequently these tip line numbers appear. Why didn't they appear here is my question.
Yeah, my family actually makes fun of me because of how much I read the news and how many notifications I have set up on my phone for me to constantly read the news.
Well, it's helpful. It's helpful, right? You know?
And it's becoming, even though we're at this point, we're so new, we're not being paid for this or anything. We're just doing this for our own enjoyment. Which is kind of weird to say that we're talking about these awful things for enjoyment, but let's be honest, that's what podcasts are.
Yeah.
But like we do this because this is what we've been doing for so long. We finally just decided to record our conversations. Like, this is just who we are.
Yeah, we were already talking about it. And
yeah, we used to commute to work together, and we should have recorded those conversations.
Those would have been good. Yeah, we had a lot of cases that we could have. Oh man, if we had recorded them, we could have banked so many more episodes.
Right? Yeah. What, like 6-7 months of working together, commuting every day?
To share more about Brianna's sister Janice Lewis shared that she admired her big sister's bravery and outgoing personality, saying, quote, "She was my first best friend. I don't have a sister myself, so I cannot imagine how heartrending it must be to lose someone who's been there for you your entire life. Sam, obviously you have Ash. I can't imagine. I can't imagine what Janice must have gone through."
Yeah, Ash and I are very close, and we didn't get close until we were older, but I very much consider her my best friend. Like, and Ash, if you're listening to this, I consider you my best friend. I can't even imagine.
The statement is so beautiful, like my first best friend.
Right.
She's been there your whole life. So I can't imagine. Yeah. And
I am who I am now because of my sister, even though we weren't like super, super, super close as kids. I'm 100% who I am because of her influence.
Yeah, and it sounds like the same here. Lewis shared that, quote, "Wherever she went, I wanted to go. She'd take me with her." She further stated,
that's like the job of a big sister, I feel like. I totally resonate with that statement.
Right. That like every little sister just wants to tag along and get into what their big sister's getting into, and you know.
Exactly.
And Lewis further shared a heart-wrenching statement that she further stated, "I wish the person who did this knew what they did, because they don't know what they took from us. They didn't know how much Brianna meant to us."
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is really heart-wrenching.
In the wake of her death, Brianna's mother wrote she was loved by many and, quote, "an amazing person who touched so many people's hearts with her presence, and her memory will forever live on." Like I said, the magnitude of that statement, "they don't know what they took from us," breaks my heart for this family.
Yeah, it really does.
And it can't be overstated that heartbreak, as Brianna's case is unfortunately not unique. Hamilton's death was at least the 37th violent death of a transgender or non-gender confirming person between January 2021 and September 2021. And the fourth
so
in Chicago.
Many.
That's worldwide. And she was the fourth in Chicago.
That's mind-blowing.
Yeah. And the qualifying statement at least must be used because of how often these deaths either go completely unreported or misreported. In 2021...
Yeah, exactly. If she's reported as using her dead name.
Right.
Like, I didn't know. I had no clue.
Right, and misgendering
while reading
her.
These articles.
Yeah. In 2021, the year was on track for 53 anti-trans homicides by the end of December, meaning it would surpass 2020 as the most violent on record. Tori Cooper, the director of community engagement for HRC's Transgender Justice Initiative, stated, quote, Hamilton's death marks the second killing of a Black trans woman in Chicago during the past month, September of 2021, and the fourth this year in Chicago. Black trans lives matter, and we need urgent action to end this epidemic of violence.
We do. We really do.
And yeah, it just, the magnitude is incredible, and the damage it's doing to families of these people is mind-blowing and heart-wrenching.
Well, it's so much more than that, too, because unfortunately, these statistics discourage people from wanting to be their real selves.
Right.
It discourages people from wanting to come out and be the person who they truly are, being transgender and being able to live their lives to their fullest extent.
Right. And I'll share a little bit more with you right here and now, and that it is probably making a lot of people scared to be their true selves. To give you an understanding of the size and scope of this problem, HRC has prepared some statistics for us. In 2020, 44 deaths of transgender and gender nonconforming people were recorded. That is the highest it has been since the HRC began tracking the violent crimes in 2013. Briana was number 37 in 2021. All but 3 victims in 2021 were, like Briana, transgender women of color, and at least 28 were Black, according to the LGBTQ plus news site, Pittsburgh Lesbian Correspondence.
Disappointing to hear that. It like, I don't have another word for it. It's disappointing.
It's an epidemic. It is. It's just preying on this community so intentionally and wantonly, and thinking that they will escape justice because of it. It's disgusting.
Regardless of what we're talking about here, it's a human being.
Yes. There's no reason.
Yeah, it's a human being who is just trying to live their life.
There's zero reason for you to kill any human. You know?
Yeah,
please
any
don't.
Human, let alone somebody who is taking a huge step to really break out of their box of this conformity that they were stuck in.
Right. Someone who's just trying to be themselves.
It's really upsetting to me.
It's so upsetting. Someone who's just trying to be themselves, and for that, they're killed. It's disgusting. It's rotted, and it makes me so sad, and it's just tragic. And more than 10,000 hate crimes in the United States involve a firearm each year, which equates to more than 28 a day, according to a 2020 report from HRC and affiliates, which we'll link below in the show notes. This report also notes a substantial increase in anti-LGBTQIA+ hate crimes, especially against transgender people. In the 2017 to 2019 Transgender Homicide Tracker reported that 3/4 of confirmed homicides against transgender people have involved a gun, and nearly 8 in 10 homicides of Black trans women involve a gun. Wow. Further, advocates saw a 43% increase in the formation of anti-LGBTQIA+ hate groups in 2019.
What I just can't understand, and I know everyone has the right to their opinion, and I am not going to sit here and say that your opinion is wrong, because I think that is harmful to say things like that. I just personally don't have the ability to understand why somebody who is being themselves harmful.
Mind your own business. Like, mind your own business. If what they're doing to be themselves is bothering you, you stay in your own lane and you ride your little huffy bike further down the lane, because it's none of your business. And
they're not doing something that's harming you. It might upset you, but like there's plenty of things that truly bother me that I personally disagree with. But I'm also in a strong opinion that if I choose to just move past it, then my life will be happier than engaging.
Yeah, I just have the hardest time understanding this. It's just there are so many beautiful and wonderful, precious things about these people that they bring to the world and to this community, and you hate them because of who they are. That's why you hate them. Like, you hate them because of who they are, and it's not right with me.
They're just someone trying to live their life just like you are.
Right. It's not right with me. It doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't, and it's more than Sam will tell you. I'm holding back a lot here on how angry.
Yes, I know you are.
Me. I'm holding back an incredible amount, and I don't have words for it. I don't have words for the underrepresentation and the misreporting and the constant news streams that I see, but that people in Briana's community see as well. They have to see these headlines every day that someone just like them was murdered for being just like them, and it's so egregious to me.
Yeah, and we'll have an episode coming up in the future that it's not at all in relation to this, but it's an episode that it'll probably come out in about a month from this one, maybe slightly more than that, but it's one that I'm in the process of researching, where it's kind of the opposite. It's and I don't want to give anything away, because Kelly, you don't even know anything about this case, and I'm really excited to like give you these details, but it's going to be something where we're going to get heated again. Like, I'll tell you that right now. We're going to get heated again, but there's things that you agree with and there's things that you don't agree with. And if on both sides of this, we choose the path of least resistance, and just let people live and let people be themselves, then the outcomes would have been so much better for every single person involved.
Absolutely. But the thing is, there is some beauty in this story in the way Briana was taken in by her family. The beautiful part is that for Briana's family, they were, quote, all in for Briana when she transitioned, according to her sister. And I think that
Makes me
is
so happy to hear.
I think that is so commendable. I think that's what a true family does. They give you the tools to be exactly who you are. And once you figure that out, they love you even more for it.
Because you're still that person. You're not changing who you are. You are evolving. You are becoming that person that is inside of you that you probably, unfortunately, have needed to keep to yourself for too long.
Right. And just like this family did, you do your best to give your child the tools to create who they are. And then your job as a parent is to accept your child for who they are. And
exactly.
I will not be taking further comments on that. Thank you. I also here would like to acknowledge that for many, many trans and non-binary people, this is not the case. If you're struggling alone without the support of your family, remember that we can create our own families. We can stand together and love each other and support each other just like a family does. And if your first bully you come across is related to you, my heart aches for you. And I beg you to reach out to someone you trust. And if you don't trust anyone, email us. Or comment on our Instagram posts. Or even DM me. I'm not about to let people down. Fellow humans down in their time of need. I am, and I think I could say we are here to lift you up.
Absolutely. And even just with that, well, okay, you and I are strong supporters of this community.
Mm-hmm.
You and I are very strong believers in this. And I think you can all tell that by our comments so far.
I hope so.
And I also think that you and I have created a family amongst ourselves.
Absolutely.
I think that you and I have become sisters in this. I know that my family has fully adopted you. I've been able to introduce you to my whole family. They all love you.
Lovely.
And
I love them.
We are more than happy to invite more people in.
Absolutely. There's room for love.
Yeah, and like you and I aren't technically related, but you are a part of my family.
Absolutely. And I feel such a strong bond with just my group of folks who I have here in Chicago that I'm like, well, this is my Chicago family. Like, this
absolutely.
is, you know.
Yeah, you and I are both here on our own. Our families are not here.
Yeah.
Like our actual blood relatives aren't with us here in Chicago.
Right. We're transplants. Speaking of lifting up, I would like to talk a little more about Briana and hold her up in all of our thoughts. Thankfully, we have some visibility into what a wonderful person she was through her family statements to press outlets. Janice Lewis, who we've already met, Briana's sister, said that growing up, she was a tomboy, but Briana loved doing girly girl things. Lewis said her sister would practice doing her makeup on her. After Briana came out, she started experimenting with her eyebrows and other makeup. Lewis said she, quote, loved every second of it. She also said, I admired Briana to the point where she's the reason I started wearing lashes and experimenting with lipstick. You'd think it'd be the other way around, but no. She taught me everything. Other times, I'd watch her and she'd do her eyebrows so fast, but they'd come out perfect. she'd say, "Sis, what does this eyebrow give?" And I'd say, "It gives sickness." If that's confusing for you, this is a good thing. It's common to refer to a beautiful person as sickening, and that's how I want Briana Hamilton to be remembered, as the sickening beauty she was.
And that's an incredible talent that I desperately wish I had.
Right, to have eyebrows like that, because the term sickening is you look so beautiful that you've brought the entire room to be sickened.
Right.
To be sickened by your beauty. Taria Walton, Brianna's best friend since 2015, said they love shopping together and getting their nails and hair done together. Makeup was Brianna's favorite, though. Walton said, quote, "She loved it so much that she wanted to be a makeup artist. She'd do my makeup too, sometimes, and was always so good at it." Brianna loved Six Flags and other amusement parks, according to her sister. She loved scary movies and favored older horror classics such as Freddy vs. Jason and Sleepaway Camp.
Right there, her and I would be good friends.
Exactly. Right? She's so cool. She loved movies and would listen to anything from rap to gospel music, according to her sister. But her favorites were Nicki Minaj, Polo G, and Britney Spears. Most importantly, she was remembered by her best friend Walton as, quote, "always full of life and was always honest, loyal, and authentic. You don't meet people as special as her every day." On September 17th, 2021, Briana Hamilton was just 25 years old. Officers were called to the scene of a person shot at 6:30 a.m. They found Hamilton lying on the ground with a gunshot wound to her head. She was rushed to Holy Cross Hospital, but succumbed to her wounds there. The Chicago Police Department says the shooting remains under investigation and no arrests have been made. Records from the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office ruled Brianna's death a homicide. Brianna's death was confirmed and was correctly identified as a transgender woman by advocates and community members online. On social media by Lysia Wade, executive director of the community resource group Brave Space Alliance, wrote, quote, "Rest in power, my love. She was found 2 days ago and killed." Hamilton's sister Lewis said, quote, "I don't know how we can stop this from happening again, but I do know I want to help by bringing awareness to it because Brianna's life mattered. All their lives mattered," which is just heart-wrenching. I keep saying heart-wrenching. It's just terrible.
It is. And that's such a good statement of all their lives mattered, because it's 100% accurate.
Right. Of all of these, just in Chicago alone, 4. And they all mattered.
Like, even if you're on the fence about all of this, if you personally don't know someone who's transgendered and you don't have experience with that to understand, I think you can still understand that this is still a person at the end of the day. And that, I think that's the point that we're going to be trying to make constantly through this. We've already said it a couple times. But in the end, this is still a person.
Right. Somebody's child. Somebody's child was murdered. Hamilton was friends with another transgender woman, Ishay Key, who had been recently killed, and her sister shared that Brianna was broken up about deaths. She stated, "Brianna is not the first friend of the community that's been murdered, and she won't be the last. But I never thought my sister would be part of this." My heart aches for all of Briana Hamilton's family, as this is really all the information we have about the homicide.
It's just mind-blowing to me. Truly mind-blowing.
Right. All the family knows is that someone shot Brianna in cold blood and left her to die in the street. And it makes me physically ill to think of that. That's all they know.
Yeah.
It's so
You would
unfair.
think with today's like day and age of cameras everywhere, they'd at least have a little bit more.
Yeah. Hamilton's mother, Rhonda Ulmer, thanked friends and loved ones for their support and calls to offer their condolences. She said a candlelight vigil and release of balloons would be held in Briana's honor. I want everyone to attend, Ulmer said in a Facebook post on her daughter's page, adding that she would post funeral arrangements as well within the upcoming week. Briana's family launched a GoFundMe to help offset funeral costs, and it received over $2,000 in donations. Here, I will implore you that if you have the ability to donate to these causes, please do so. No family should have to struggle with the murder of a loved one and the added financial fears of putting their family member to rest with dignity.
And she was 25. It's not like the average 25-year-old has a life insurance policy that's going to help pay for this.
She's so young.
She's so young. And I said it earlier, we're not making money off of this right now. We're doing this because we enjoy talking about this, and this is something that we read a lot about, and we like to go into the research of it. But I would love the opportunity when we do eventually start making money, because that's a long-term goal, to be able to donate to things like this. That's very important to me, that we are able to give back and help people.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's, like I just said, no family should have to go through that added burden like this, just trying to get their family member laid to rest. Rhonda Ulmer said, quote, "My daughter was a victim of a ruthless murder. Unfortunately, I am a single mother, and the funeral expenses are an unexpected challenge for me. I know Briana was loved by many, and at this time your support is greatly needed and appreciated. Though the GoFundMe has since been deactivated and is no longer accepting donations, please visit the resources we'll link and invest in the safety of our community members." Lastly, I'd like to share another quote from the Human Rights Campaign. It is, "We must demand better from our elected officials and reject harmful anti-transgender legislation at the local, state, and federal levels, while also considering every possible way to make ending this violence a reality. It is clear that fatal violence disproportionately affects transgender women of color, especially Black transgender women. The intersections of racism, transphobia, biphobia, and homophobia conspire to deprive them of necessities to live and thrive. So we must all work together to cultivate acceptance, reject hate, and end stigma for everyone in the trans and gender nonconforming community."
I agree with every single word of that statement.
Every last word. And now I'm going to read the resources. I think I should read the resources, right?
Yeah.
For more information on the Human Rights Campaign's transgender justice work, visit hrc.org/transgender. If you want to be active and loud and showing up, the HRC also has launched a campaign called Count Me In, which encourages everyone, every human, to get out there and spread awareness on behalf of transgender and non-binary people. Quote, "The more people who show they care, including allies and trans and non-binary people who speak up for the most marginalized in our community, the more hearts and minds we will change." You can learn more and take action at hrc.org/countmein. Like I said at the beginning of this episode, it's not about you going to your friends and demanding they explain to you why they deserve to live as they choose. It's about educating yourself and listening to the stories that are out there. I hope if and when you choose to do this, you will feel enlightened and feel 1/10 of the power Briana and her family have and showed her, so that you can get out there and advocate for your family, your friends, your neighbors, and people you don't know. Even if you don't know them, fight for them because they deserve the rights and happiness we are all afforded. The Trevor Project also offers a guide to being an ally to transgender and non-binary young people, which we'll link. Speaking directly to the transgender, non-binary, and any LGBTQIA plus individuals, I want to say we love you, and there are resources to support you and you being your true self. GLAAD offers resources on their website, which we will link in the show notes. The National Center for Transgender Equality is also a wonderful, comprehensive website which shares everything from resources about the transgender community to knowing the rights you have innately to self-help guides. They are at transequality.org. If you can't stomach any more statistics or talking points and just need help, there are peer support services and a hotline available at translifeline.org. If you're in the United States, call 877-565-8860. If English is not your preferred language, you can press 2 for Spanish services. It is staffed by volunteers who identify as trans, non-binary, or queer and operates 24/7. Note that this option offers support through phone only at this time. The most renowned helpline is the LGBT National Hotline at 888-843-4564. It is staffed by volunteers who identify somewhere on the LGBTQ spectrum. They offer phone, chat, and email options. The last I'll mention, and perhaps most well-rounded, is provided by the Trevor Project. It is staffed by volunteers, operates 24/7, 365 days a year, and offers phone, chat, and text options. Their number is 866-488-7386. You can also text START to 678-678 to open a chat visit, thetrevorproject.org/help. Also, please remember Briana when doing all this, and I'd offer you this again. You can go online to tip submit on home.chicagopolice.org and leave an anonymous tip regarding Briana's case. You can also use their service text to tip by entering the number 274-637 and anonymously texting in a tip. Sharing this tip line number is just, again, the only way we can amplify Briana's story so that if anyone has seen or remembers anything strange, we can send it in anonymously. And in closing, just rest in power, Briana Hamilton. May all the light and goodness find your family, and may we someday see justice for them.
This one's just, it's so upsetting to me that there's nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
Because we need something else. We need justice for her. We need to help in any way that we can, and we need to help people in the future.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I chose this topic this week.
And I want to reiterate exactly what you said earlier. Reach out to us. We are here to listen. We are here to do anything that we can. And that's something Absolutely. That's incredibly important to us, that we're available for that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Any last comments? Or do you want me to close out?
No, I had my closer.
All right. Well, we know this was a tough one. We do want to thank everyone sticking with us for this last hour or so. And if you have any questions or want to reach out, you can find us on Instagram. We're at Have You Heard About This Case Pod. We are also on Twitter at HYHATC Pod. Or you can email us at haveyouheardaboutThisCase@gmail.com. And thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to you later.
See you next time. Bye.